We continue with a rematch. Let's first welcome to the ring the undefeated Bruno Surace.
Well, there was frankly no reason to believe that Bruno Surace could be competitive with Jaime Munguia last time out, let alone knock him out. Surace's greatest triumphs to that point were on the second tier of the European level and as a professional kickboxer. Even his own coach, Murad Hadou, said that he was lukewarm about the idea of accepting the fight. But Surace shocked the world, and maybe even his own coach a little bit, scoring the Ring Magazine Upset of the Year in December of last year, landing a devastating right hand that changed his life. Despite being dubbed the French Rocky by many reporters, Surace is maybe the only boxer alive who has not actually seen any of the Rocky movies, but does say that he's determined to continue writing his own story, the one of the Frenchman who never stopped believing in himself.
Shocked the world with the shot heard around the world, at least heard around Mexico. That was a homecoming fight for Jaime Munguia. It literally said homecoming on the bill at the arena for Jaime Munguia. He was coming off that win over Eric Bazinian. Here comes Bruno Surace to be the patsy. Instead, he played the foil. Tremendous right hand from Bruno Surace to change his fortunes. Now he's out to prove that he is not just a one-hit wonder, that he really is a contender at 168.
I keep hearing lucky right hand, lightning in a bottle. Surace prepared for this. He's undefeated. He was ready for that right hand. That right hand will be available again. Can he land it with that much power and do the same damage? We're going to find out.
And now let's welcome the former world champion, Jaime Munguia!
There's no shortage of fighters who have been on the wrong end of Ring Magazine Upsets of the Year who have returned to have great nights. But there are perhaps even more that have not. And Jaime Munguia is looking to buck that trend. Munguia's upset loss was a historically significant one in terms of the betting lines, entering the fight as a minus 2,500 favorite. Tonight, he's still a minus 700 favorite or so. And as the odds makers seem to believe, Munguia feels that the knockout loss was due to a fluky lapse in concentration, and that when given the chance, he'll correct course and score a knockout win tonight. To ensure that, he's playing quite the hand, seeking the guidance of Eddie Reynoso and Canelo Alvarez as he heads into a fight with all the chips on the table.
Yeah, I don't think you can downplay the significance of this fight for Jaime Munguia. Just 28 years old. You can't say that his career is on the line in this fight. But a loss to Canelo Alvarez is understandable, even accepted. 2 straight losses to Bruno Surace would be enormous setbacks.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout is scheduled for 12 rounds in the super middleweight division. Brought to you by Riyadh Season and the General Entertainment Authority GIA, with Frank Warren for Queensberry, Canelo Promotions, Agon Sports and Events, and Sella. In association with Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated and Zanford Boxing. Along with their great sponsors, Riyadh Season, STA, STC, Dr. Suleiman El Habib Medical Group, and Arena Fitness Innovation. Sanctioned by the British Boxing Board of Control, Steward in Charge Guy Williamson, Supervisor Dennis Gilmartin. Our 3 judges assigned will be Howard Foster of England, Kieran McCann of England, and Ron McNair of the United States. Our referee in charge will be Bob Williams of England. Introducing to you first, fighting tonight out of the blue corner, he comes to the ring wearing white with blue and gold and weighed in officially at 167.7 pounds. Coming to us from Marseille, France, he brings an undefeated record with 26 wins, 2 draws, 5 wins coming by way of knockout. Currently ranked number 7 by Ring Magazine. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the undefeated Bruno Surace. And his opponent across the ring, fighting tonight out of the red corner. He comes to the ring wearing the color of the Saudi Arabia sand and weighed in the same as his opponent, 167.7 pounds. His professional record consists of 44 wins, 2 defeats, 35 of his 44 wins coming by way of knockout. Currently ranked number 8 by Ring Magazine, he is the former WBO Super Welterweight Champion of the World, damas y caballeros, de Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico, Jaime Munguia!
Punch is there, okay, that's the height, okay. Punch is there, anything below that is low. Okay, gentlemen, obey my commands. In the event of a knockdown, the fighter standing will go to the furthest neutral corner and stay there. Protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves, please.
Well, a lot has changed in terms of how we think about a fight between Jaime Munguia and Bruno Surace. Munguia, as we mentioned, still a -700 favorite in this one or so, but these are now 2 top 10 Ring Magazine super middleweights going at it. Can Bruno Surace affirm that it was not a fluke?
You can see at the face-off that Surace is naturally the bigger man. He had a wider torso. Munguia coming up from 154. You can see he's slightly smaller as far as frame.
Munguia got knocked out in that last fight, but there was a lot that was going right for him leading up to that point. He knocked down Surace in the 2nd round. The body work was working. He pushed Surace up against the ropes repeatedly, so he's got to tweak a couple of things, but much of what he was doing in that first fight should be effective in the 2nd.
You can see Surace went for that home run right hand right off the bat, but he needs to set that up. Munguia's going to be looking for that right hand, so soften up the body with those jabs, and then you can maybe catch him off guard over the top.
Sergio, I'm interested to see what kind of tweaks that Eddie Reynoso makes to the game of Jaime Munguia. First full camp, first fight with Eddie Reynoso.
I think we're seeing one early tweak here, Chris, and Sergio, I'll throw this to you as well, where Munguia is carrying his left hand almost high in an exaggerated fashion to guard against that right hand.
That's one of them, and anytime Surace moves to his left, you can see that Munguia steps to the right, so he's gonna make that ring smaller and smaller and cut off the Frenchman anytime he moves to his left.
I think the question is going to be, as this fight progresses, does Jaime Munguia revert to form? Do we start to see the same Jaime Munguia that just goes to war with every opponent that he's been in?
No matter who's been in Jaime Munguia's corner, what trainer has been trying to take those bad habits away, they always come back and hunt him.
fighter like Surace, who has suddenly developed confidence, could be extremely dangerous. Of course, he knows he can knock Munguia out, but also, Chris, this is a guy who is still working a sales job outside of boxing. This is someone who twice has had university exams the day of and the day before fights. Now suddenly he's a top 10 super middleweight. There's a different level of belief in Bruno Surace now.
No question. He was brought in as cannon fodder the first time around. Now he is one win away from being considered a legit contender.
I say it all the time, and Mannix doesn't believe me, but I tell him that boxers are smart. They don't need an education to be smart. It's just they're put in a position, they come from poverty, that they go into the gym before they go to school, but Surace is an exception.
He's got 2 master's degrees. He's smart in every capacity.
How many credits away are you?
Relax, Mr. Boston College. See right here, Munguia's not jabbing enough. You know, that's the thing that Eric Morales was trying to teach him. You know, closing the gap with the jab, especially when you have a mover moving around the ring laterally.
Left hand to the body there from Munguia, but a pretty good opening round there for Surace.
Ya se fue el primero, ¿eh? ¿Cómo te sentiste? Tranquilito, ahorita vas a entrar en ritmo, güey, ¿eh?
Yeah, you gave up that first round. You got to get your rhythm back.
Tes coups, ils vont faire effet. Tu vas l'affaiblir au fur et à mesure des rounds. Il faut pas en faire plus. C'est parfait, Bruno. OK? Attention, il va venir plus vers toi. Il sent qu'il gagne pas. S'il met pas du rythme, il pourra pas gagner. Prends ton temps. Reste comme ça va marcher. OK? Magnifique, j'avais encore 10. Ça, tu peux le prendre, encore plus. Ok, gère tes efforts, c'est parfait. Ça va céder, ça va s'écrouler devant toi.
Lève le tabouret.
Allez, Mino, c'est parfait.
I understood keep boxing.
I took 1 year of college French, guys. I got it. I'm good.
I apologize, my 12th grade French did not pick that up as well as perhaps it should, as round 2 begins. As you heard the Munguia corner say, you gave up that round, maybe now is time to get started. And we discussed the possible adaptations that Munguia would have now in the Reynoso camp. That's kind of a Canelo-esque thing to do too, Serge. I'll put this to you, Mannix. Kind of just taking a picture in that opening round and then getting things going.
That's what Canelo Alvarez has become known for. So downloading information in that first round, figuring out the tendencies of your opponent. But if Jaime Munguia, you should have a pretty clear idea of how Bruno Surace is going to try to fight. He's going to be looking for that right hand. That right hand's real. Like, he only had 4 knockouts coming into that fight against Jaime Munguia, but he loads up on that right hand.
Good right hand from Munguia there a moment ago. You know, Sergio, one habit that Surace does have, and maybe it owes to that oscillating between kickboxing and boxing for a period of time.
He crosses his right foot over.
Exactly.
I was about to, Corey, you know your stuff. When he moves to his left, he crosses his right foot. That's a big no-no. You need to, your lead foot, your left foot is the one that's doing all the guiding. When he moves to his left, Surace brings his right foot across his body. That's a big no-no. You're off balance and can get attacked.
Surace looking for a left hook there.
Surace doing a pretty good job of protecting that midsection. One punch that works for Jaime Munguia really well is that left hook to the body. And historically, Bruno Surace has been vulnerable to body shots.
Yeah, and I think if he's going to take advantage of Surace moving his right foot like that, it's going to be the right hook to the body that's going to be money for Munguia.
Big attempt at left hook there from Munguia. Perhaps Surace could be more susceptible to body shots, as we mentioned.
That right hook.
Nice right hand there from Surace. Although he is certainly a super middleweight now, even in his post-fight interview after beating Munguia, he said, I'm not sure that I belong here. I might be going back to 160. So he might naturally be bigger, but that might not be where he's athletically most comfortable.
You know, when I sized him up, we're about the same frame, but looking at him now without a shirt, he has a wide torso. You know, fighters like that, you know, they carry all their weight in the middle. Kind of like Carlos Baldomir, you know, they had all of that wide torso. They were strong fighters if you stay right in front of them.
Surace taking away that right hand well. stiff jab there from Munguia, as Munguia now touches the body of Surace with a left hook.
Yeah, Munguia very responsible with bringing his hands back to defense.
Trabajaste mejor y este round, agarra airecito, relájate. Así te quiero nomás listo en tu pelea. Listo en tu pelea es todo lo que tenemos que hacer y empezar a dominar, lo vas a empezar a dominar con tu defensa y después lo vamos a estar contragolpeando, hijo, Sin desesperarte, güey, No bajes la mano, güey. No, está bien. Agua. Cuando pegues tus combinaciones, güey, no te me salgas así, Pega tu combinación y de volada hacia arriba, güey. Porque te puede estar leyendo, está leyendo, güey. ¡Pam, pam! Y arriba. Pintas y no entras, pintas y giras. Pintas pasito atrás. Aquí nomás, te estás bloqueando muy bien, ok, cerradito. Es fácil lo que tienes que hacer. Nomás bien inteligente,
Round 3.
A lot of instructions there being given by Eddie Reynoso. A lot of great instructions, basically saying that Munguia's doing right, but he's being set up with that right hand. So he needs to pretend he's gonna attack, feint, and then feint and attack. So you can just switch up your attack coming in and don't pull back. Do not lean back your head if you're Munguia.
Good left hand to the body there from Munguia. Surace felt it was low.
Now that wasn't low. That's just a good shot. And if you keep digging that forearm and that elbow will keep digging into your rib.
Yeah, and I would say Surace's trunks
are very high.
Right. So he might have thought it was low, but that was probably right on the legal belt line.
This is the most I've seen Munguia feint with that heavy front foot. It's unnatural to him, but that's exactly what they worked on. Because that's what Reynoso wants in the corner. Feint that front foot, get him to bite, then you attack.
See Jaime Munguia's family seated ringside, hoping that their son can get back in the win column. Munguia staying consistent with that heavy jab. And one thing I think we are seeing in terms of changes to his technique, the work of Munguia is a little bit tighter now. You're seeing some touches of that Reynoso and Canelo style.
Yeah, tight guard and discipline. I think that's the main thing, because Munguia will throw discipline to the wind. You know, as soon as he landed one shot, he will go after his opponent. Now he's doing a lot more responsibly behind that hard jab. And once he lets go of that jab, he brings it right back to his face.
Well, Chris, that's also something that Munguia has kind of had to learn as he's gone up the scale. At 154, he was so physically overwhelming. But as he's gone up in weight, he's had to grind out wins like the one over Derevyanchenko, like the one over Bazignan.
Yeah, he's always been the kind of fighter that offense is his best defense. That's led to some very physical fights as he moved up the scales. Gabe Rosado was a physical fight. Derevyanchenko was a physical fight. Canelo Alvarez, 12 rounds against one of the best in boxing. He's had some wear and tear over the last couple of years.
Both these fighters really thinking. This is the first time I've seen Munguia focus and concentrate so much on what his opponent's gonna do. Normally Munguia's on the front foot just punching at anything and everything, but now he's being calculated with what he's gonna throw first. And of course, Surace is just waiting to counter with that overhand hook around the guard. That's gonna be his money punch. Two smart fighters right in front of each other right now. Who's gonna make the mistake first?
Surace looking for that right hand, trying to wrap it around the guard of Munguia there. And that'll do it in round 3.
Bruno, il fait très,
Là, t'as dit.
Alors,
Il est réticent à t'attaquer, il a peur du corps. Tu l'as fait mal,
t'as vu?
Dans ton temps.
À chaque fois que tu mets ton bras derrière, c'est le cas d'ici. À chaque fois que tu mets ton bouche.
Fais attention, après ton jab, il a la consigne de travailler après ton jab dans tes temps morts. Il a eu cette consigne-là. Fais attention, ok? Continue à varier les angles, Bruno. Ça va se couler tout seul. Tu vas t'avoir mal à la sprint, ok?
Là, il se plaît, tu t'amasses. Ok? C'est toi le champion. Reste vigilant. Change rien. Garde la même stratégie. Garde la même stratégie. Levez la chaise.
Round 4 now underway. Bruno Surace looking very calm in the corner. And with that, let's send it over to Claudia Trejos. Claudia, what are you hearing?
Thank you, Corey. There's a lot of confidence in Surace's corner. They actually have made no adjustment. There was no concern on the footwork at all. They just want him to stay out of the range, walk in, close the gap, and then just keep boxing.
And this is why we have the best French speaker of the four of us on the case here.
Merci beaucoup.
Surace trying to stab with that jab to the body of Munguia. And Surace has talked about how even though his life has changed in many ways because of the Munguia win, particularly financially, a lot hasn't. He still trains in the same gym that he's always trained in, next to kids, moms bringing their kids for children's boxing classes. It's not a glamorous superstar lifestyle that Surace is living back home in France.
I think Munguia is trying to get Surace into the second half of the fight. That's why he's so calm and patient right now. Because Surace, for everything that he is, most of his fights are 6- and 8-round fights. So once he gets past that 8th round, he's going to be in unfamiliar territory, even though he only has one 12-round fight under his belt in 28 fights.
Well, that would explain to a degree some of the judicious punching that we're seeing from Munguia. The first fight, whenever he had Surace against the ropes, he was letting his hands go. He was landing good shots. Caught Surace in the second round during an exchange. He's not doing that quite as frequently in this fight.
I think perhaps an element as well is there's no longer the expectation or the compulsion that he has to knock Surace out. In the last fight, that was the expectation. It was a homecoming fight. Sergio, you and I have called a Munguia homecoming fight. You know what the deal is in a fight like that. It went the other way.
Any boxer would tell you that they hate homecoming fights. There's too much pressure to shine. There's too many obligations to fill. There's too many fans and family that want front row seats. It's a distraction, and that's why a lot of these hometown fights, when champions go, they haven't looked good or they've lost.
Next right hand, a good counter over the top there from Surace.
Good shots. Surace is sneaky, explosive, man. That's a very, very difficult move to jump in with a left hook and then come under with a left uppercut. That takes speed, agility, and foot balance. Bruno Surace, I could understand why he's an undefeated fighter in 28 fights, man. We got to give this Frenchman his props. He's no pushover. He may have been an unknown, but this guy can fight.
Well, here's a man looking to pull off what may be a Surace-esque upset if he can pull it off. William Scull getting wrapped up and ready for his date with Canelo Alvarez tonight.
And one question I have, Sergio, is kind of what is coursing through William Scull right now? He looked a little bit jittery at the weigh-in on Friday.
He looked jittery at the press conference. He looked jittery at the weigh-in. And even when he does try to talk a little bit tough, it just doesn't seem like him. He knows that Canelo is the star of the show. So I think it serves him right to just, be quiet, focus on what you have to do, focus on the game plan, and that's going to be your best bet.
Orders, 10 seconds. Second out. Round 5.
Round 5 now underway. Very competitive start to this contest between Jaime Munguia and Bruno Surace as we send it back over to Claudia Trejos.
A lot of caution on that corner. Everyone also wants Munguia to maintain his distance and be very careful with that overhand right that could come in and do some damage.
It's really wild how things can change for a guy like Bruno Surace, who frankly might not have been discovered. We see how good Surace now actually is. Might still be toiling in obscurity in France, if not getting a fairly late notice opportunity against Jaime Munguia in December.
Yeah, man, that's why you gotta, strike whenever given an opportunity. And like I said in the end of the last round, Surace can fight. You know, his record indicates he's a straight boxer with only 5 knockouts and 26 wins. But he's more than that. He has more power than his knockout ratio indicates, especially with that right hand.
Yeah, on paper, he's a very easy guy to overlook. Undefeated record, but 4 knockouts coming into that Munguia fight. And respectfully, he was basically a club fighter in France. His level of competition was very low. So he really was a complete unknown.
But look at how Munguia is leery of throwing more than 1 shot. Munguia was known as a buzzsaw, a combination puncher, someone that will hit you anywhere that you give him. He's very careful just throwing single shots because he knows that Surace is waiting to catch and counter.
Surace offering up that right hand again. That one caught by Munguia, but you can hear just the weight of that shot from Surace, despite only having 5 knockouts. I mean, we saw what he did to Munguia, but there's some serious depth behind those shots.
I think Munguia will serve him best to stop overloading on that right hand. I think you got to break down Surace. You really just got to aim at the body, aim at the biceps. Keep those shoulders and those arms in check. That way he can't catch and counter. Keep digging at the biceps.
And Sergio, we spent part of last week talking about the lingering effects of a knockout, particularly when it came to Devin Haney going into his first fight back after the beating he took against Ryan Garcia. I think we're seeing some of the effects of the knockout here with Jaime Munguia. Much more selective puncher during this fight.
Selected the right shot there. That's a beautiful left hook to the body, and now a right hand as well.
That's what happens when you make a career taking shots. Whenever you have a granite chin and you rely on that, and then it finally betrays you. You finally get knocked out. You're worn torn. Your body, you can't keep taking that punishment, and your confidence is bound to betray you.
Seems like Munguia getting a little bit of confidence in his offense here as the round comes to a close.
Bien, así. Te quiero nomás atento, cabrón,
I want you attentive.
Te lo bloqueaste bien. Atento nomás, hijo.
Very attentive.
Poquito. Está corriendo, agarras tu distancia, le tiras 2.
You gotta get the distance.
Le tiras 2, güey.
3.
Sube la manita
Throw
aquí.
2 hands and bring the hands right back to your face. Then step back, but you won't get hit with that uppercut.
Pinta cuando entres.
You gotta feint before you enter.
Porque él es un contragolpeador.
He's a counter puncher, remember that.
Ya le tiraste acá y acá.
Look, you threw around the guard. Now you gotta throw him right in the chest.
Well, the IBF Super Lightweight title is on the line Saturday, June 14th, when Richardson Hitchens takes on George Kambosos Jr. in New York. Another mega matchup brought to you by DAZN and part of your unrivaled subscription. Back to action here in Riyadh as Jaime Munguia looking to avenge his shocking loss at the hands of Bruno Surace. A better round there in round 5 for Jaime Munguia, who seemed a little less tentative with his offense and now looking the same way as he begins round 6.
I agree. That 5th round is the way that Munguia needs to start this 6th round. And that's what they're telling him in the corner. You need to aim at the biceps and the arms of Surace. You keep digging down the body, but they also said throw 2 shots and don't pull back. Surace is a counter punch, and that's what he's looking for.
All right, Chris Mannix, let's take a look at your scorecard.
Yeah, I've got a 48-47 in favor of Bruno Surace. Gave him 2 of the first 3 rounds, but that 5th was a clear win for Jaime Munguia. Got his momentum going, got his offense going. It looked like he got some of his confidence back in that round. So Bruno Surace up 1 point on my scorecard, but Jaime Munguia closing the gap.
That overhand right, I'd rather Munguia throw it to the body instead of the top. See, just like that. That's going to keep the elbows and forearms in check. And by doing that, then you can start your combinations and onslaught. But if you throw it over the top, that's when you can get caught and countered right to the face.
Well, it's a good point, Sergio. You know, even going back to the first fight against Surace, that is something that Surace will do. He'll lean back, he'll take those shots in the arms. You heard Munguia's corner telling him, just take those shots, wear his arms down. Munguia only got caught in that fight when he pulled back with his hands down. It was sort of an unusual sequence that he got caught with it.
Yeah, you need to stay in there. Once you break that distance, once you land that first punch, you got to stay in there. You got to keep your chin tucked, stay in there, and dig away at the body and at the arms. As long as you're hitting arms, your opponent's not going to be able to unleash his offense.
Yeah, that knockout was a little bit strange. Like, Munguia just seemed to freeze for a split second, dropped that right hand, and Bruno Surace, to his credit, recognized it, loaded up, and landed a straight right.
Munguia loading up on his own right hand here, now staying in there. Just touching the arms of Surace, now stabbing that jab to the midsection of the Frenchman.
I would like to see Munguia start peeling the guard of his opponent and going around the guard, just like David Benavidez was doing against Morrell. If the referee allows it and lets you do it, I think that should be a strategy Munguia should try to pull. Because Surace is very strong. He's very strong when he keeps his ear-muff defense on, so you're going to try to peel it.
It's a tactic that's become more popular ever since the days of Triple G. You see a lot of Uzbek fighters using that same technique.
And I go back to Fernando Vargas used to do that technique. He would do it with Corte, I remember.
All right, let's send it over to Claudia Trejos, who is standing by with a special guest.
We're here with Amir Khan. We'll always have 2004 world champion. And we're here in Riyadh, but you're taking boxing to a completely new level. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so basically on June 13th, I'm going to be doing a big event in Ghana. We are going to take boxing to a different level. Going into the promotion side of it. I was an ex-fighter myself. I know exactly what a promoter needs to do to the young fighters out there. And that's what I'm here for now. I'm going to be helping the young generation to become champions. And I'm looking forward to Ghana. It's going to be an amazing event. We've got the BE fighting, headlining. We've got O'Hara Davis. We've got so many good fighters. So I'm looking forward to it.
So today for Riyadh, tomorrow from every corner in the world. Thank you, Amir. We look forward to doing that.
It's good to see you as always as well.
My pleasure. Thanks. Back to you guys.
Round 7.
Thank you so much, Claudia.
King Khan Promotions, I could see it, man. What a great fighter. Exciting fighter.
And a man that Jaime Munguia could extract a little bit of motivation from, a man who bounced back from stoppage losses and had a wonderful career and now entering the world of promotion. Round 7 now underway as it feels like the momentum is in the Munguia corner at this point. But he is having to think for every second of this fight. Bruno Surace certainly showing here tonight. Whether he's up on the cards or marginally down, he has proven that he belongs at this level.
I think Bruno Surace is going to have to show Munguia something else than just that right hand. You see him there try a little bit of a rear uppercut. Munguia's camp has obviously been keen on that right hand all throughout. I've been talking about it in between the last few rounds. He's aware of that shot. I think Bruno Surace got to mix some of these punches up. He's going to have a chance to land.
And a right hand to the body there a moment ago. There's that right hand with Munguia pulling out.
Yeah, and he just tapped him with a left too, right before throwing that right.
Surace, the first French fighter to win the Ring Magazine's Upset of the Year since Rene Jacot upset Donald Curry back in 1989. And Upset of the Year winners tend to come in two flavors. They're either a guy like Rene Jacot or like a Willie Wise who upset Chavez Sr. and they have one big night. Or it's the breakthrough where they prove that they belong on the world level and they go on to a fantastic career.
Donald Curry used to be one of my favorite fighters to watch and study, and excellent fighter.
One thing is certain, this is a totally different tenor for a Jaime Munguia fight than we've ever seen before, Chris.
And maybe some of it, a lot of it, has to do with the fact that he got knocked out in his last fight, but I do think we're seeing the Eddie Reynoso influence on Jaime Munguia. He is fighting a lot more disciplined. No disrespect to his previous trainers, but whether it was Eric Morales or Freddie Roach, he kind of fought the same way. It was a lot of offense and very little defense. Here, as you guys noted earlier, the right hand is staying up. He's not putting himself in harm's way quite as often. A different type of fight.
Yeah, but not only that, but you're training amongst greatness. Training alongside Canelo. That actually makes you mentally strong. You learn just by watching as well.
Good looping left from Munguia there a moment ago.
Right hand over the top as well. We close in on the final 10 seconds here of round 7. The offense from Surace slowing down a little bit here.
This is
He lands a couple more body shots. Puts a couple more together at the end of the round.
That was classic Jaime Munguia.
Ganan el round, güey, al último. ¡Va, va, 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 va!
Vamos arriba.
Sí, agarra ahí, agarra ahí. Agarra ahí.
This is how you gotta end close rounds. Flurry against the ropes. If your opponent's just gonna keep the guard up, you punch at the gloves. Shoe shine and steal the round, Sugar Ray Leonard style. That's exactly what you gotta do. Credit to Surace for trying to open up there, but by opening up, you're gonna open up yourself to one of those punches that Munguia's trying to rip through the guard.
Orders, 10 seconds.
Oh, AJ is in the house as well. Anthony Joshua.
Round 8.
Flooded by fans as always, and there's Terrence Crawford. Obviously a keen observer here tonight, Chris.
As a man with a vested interest in the outcome of the main event.
Surace launching that right hand, the opening 5 seconds of the round. Picking up a little bit of foot pressure here in the 8th round. A little bit of a different cadence from Munguia as he reaches the body of Surace there with a left hook.
Nice jab. See, right there, that's gonna get you back into the rhythm that his corner wants him. Munguia needs rhythm. He needs to fight off a rhythm. Normally, he's just on the front foot throwing caution to the wind. Now, if he sets up the power in his attack behind a smart jab, a shotgun jab, that's actually doing more benefit than throwing 3 reckless punches just to the body. That controls the distance, that controls your opponent, and it keeps your opponent getting hurt just by popping him right in the face.
There from Surace, not much connecting on that one. Munguia stays behind that newfound high frame Canelo-esque defense. And perhaps, guys, thinking long-term for a fighter like Munguia, who's been in a lot of wars, even though he's not yet 30 years of age, he's endured a lot in the ring, and being a little bit more responsible like this may add years to his career.
Well, when I watched him at 160 and above, you could see, even though he was in his mid-20s, there was a shelf life on fighting like that. Certainly fighting a more defensive-minded style, if you want to call that this, is definitely prolonged his career.
Munguia just landed a hard right hook to the body. I don't think Surace didn't like that right hand. I like Munguia keep going to that body, the left side of Surace. Take a page away from Canelo when Canelo fought Caleb Plant, when he fought Callum Smith. They were just banging at the shoulders and the biceps. Keep digging away at that. Something's bound to open up.
Crowd starting to rally behind Munguia here.
Yeah, I think the Mexicans have arrived.
Surace coming up short with that right hand. And as this body attack piles up, Sergio, and as Surace starts to sell out a little more, hunching over to block those body shots, makes it harder for him to come out of that crouch and land that right hand.
Yeah, not only that, but like I said, he's really a 6 to 8 round fighter. So this 9th, 10th, 11th round is very foreign and unknown to him.
Ok, tu es devant. Faut continuer comme ça.
Bruno, tu as vu ce round-là? Tu l'as gagné haut la main. Il faut faire tous les rounds comme ça. T'attaques le 9?
Non, j'attaque le 10. Ah ouais? Attends, je vais te confirmer.
Non, c'est le 9e.
C'est le 9e?
Bruno, on attaque le 9e. Bruno, il faut gagner les rounds, comme ça, je ne fais pas carotter. Là, tu as une peu de balle.
La stamina, ça va? Bruno, tire, reste concentré. Ne sors pas des rails, je t'en supplie. Le combat, je suis là au bout des doigts. C'est là, ok?
Bruno,
Reste dans le même game plan.
Bruno, ton 8e round, il est excellent. Fais le 9e pareil.
On arrive au point de bascule. On va commencer à faire plus sévère pour te rattraper. Ok? Cabron.
He's sharp, alert.
Back to action here. Jaime Munguia and Bruno Surace, the rematch. Their shocking December encounter, which Surace knocked Munguia out. Munguia trying to get his revenge here tonight, and also set the table for his brand new stablemate, Canelo Alvarez, in our main event.
Good body shot there from Surace to start this round. There you see my scorecard, 77 to 75 in favor of Jaime Munguia. I think the last 4 rounds have gone in his favor. He stepped up the pressure, the activity has picked up as well. Surace just has not been able to land that consequential right hand. So Jaime Munguia seizing the lead on my scorecard.
Good left hand to the body there from Munguia. There you see the adjustments that Munguia has made. When he took the step out, the hands were high. He caught the right hand of Surace and just got out of the way of that one.
Surace came with the left hook and the right hand behind it, and yeah, Munguia just barely pulled back. Good body shot there by Munguia.
You can tell Surace is very wary getting hit to the body. When he gets into that corner, he kind of goes into that shell to keep those arms over the midsection.
Surace hasn't quite found the rhythm that we saw him fall into in the early rounds when he was having some success. Maybe the weight of those body shots, maybe the pounding that his arms have been taking as well, making him a little bit more weary here in the later rounds.
Or maybe just he's facing a smarter, a more prepared Jaime Munguia.
Surace trying to step in with an uppercut there. We're inside the final minute of round 9.
I like to see Surace try that again. That's a clever move, you know, jumping in with an uppercut like that.
Yeah, doubling up on that left hook. That left hook up top connected. Big sweeping shot. He is starting to find a pattern here when he can work Surace back against the ropes. He can get the body work done, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, Surace did a pretty good job in the first half of this fight, escaping from those situations. The right hand over the top there from Surace, just grazing the head of Munguia, and that'll do it for round 9.
Bruno, je te mens pas, je te dis la vérité. Il y a un arbitre qui nous donne gagnant, un arbitre qui nous donne perdant, mais c'est un round. Ça se joue à un round. Il reste quelques rounds. Nous les font tous, Bruno.
Hay que echarlo para atrás ese cabrón, hijo, no sabe ir para atrás. Él a lo desesperado te tira la pinche derecha, güey. Por eso no te duermas, siempre estate bien atento con tus manos arriba. Muévele para hacerlo para atrás como lo hacemos, muévele la cintura.
You gotta move your waist. He's looking for that right hand. Do not get lazy.
Se te deja venir muy peligroso un pasito atrás y lo levantas. Lo tienes a tu distancia, tírale como...
If he's throwing the right hand, you gotta step back. You gotta step back and look for that uppercut. You lift him up with that uppercut. You gotta stay alive, stay sharp. And you gotta throw more jabs.
Round 10 underway. Jaime Munguia and Bruno Surace. The edict in the corner of Munguia continues to be safety and patience, as Surace just missed with that right hand once more.
I think Surace got a little bit of respect back in that last round. That's why there was urgency in the corner of Munguia, because you can't let this man just have 2 rounds back to back if he did win that last round. And there's that sneaky uppercut that Surace is trying to look for again.
Yeah, a little bit off balance there. That right hand attempt of Surace. You know, Chris, you pointed out earlier the different attempts that trainers have made, you know, with Eric Morales, who tried to turn Munguia a little bit more defensive, with Freddie Roach, with others. We are seeing a real adherence from Munguia to what Eddie Reynoso is telling him, and maybe you owe that to the fact that this is a guy who wrote an article for ESPN about how he looked up to Canelo, wanted to face him one day. There is a real belief and trust in what they're telling him.
No question about that. And I'm also sure that the last fight was probably a really humbling one for Jaime Munguia. It's one thing to lose to Canelo Alvarez at the highest level. It's another thing to get knocked out by Bruno Surace. So perhaps in the aftermath of a loss like that, you're more open, more receptive to coaching than you would be in the past.
Chopping shot there from Surace.
Not only that, but Freddie Roach and Eric Morales are offensive trainers. Morales was an offensive fighter. Freddie Roach is an offensive trainer. Eddie Reynoso is a little bit of both, a responsible defensive, offensive type trainer. Everything's a new school Mexican style of fighting. And I think that's exactly what Munguia needed. You know, he epitomizes the Mexican style, but that was betraying him. That was working against him the higher he got in competition. He needed to extend his shelf life and doing it with the jab and with that body movement.
Good work there from Munguia. Quick combination. Left hook landing, so does that one. That one really sinks into the midsection of Bruno Surace.
We can hear that one ringside.
Now you can hear it, and Surace dropped that right elbow down. You can see his right elbow now going lower and lower. He doesn't want to get hit to that body again. He might be hurt to the body.
Right hand breaks through there from Munguia. Tries that downward arcing right hand. A little bit too much of a hammer fist, I think, for the officials' liking there. As Surace tries to come back with the right hand, which for the last couple of rounds has really been the only idea that Surace has been able to muster.
Oh, good shot. I think Surace is still hurt to the body. Every time Munguia lands that left hand, his knees buck a little bit.
Agarra aire, agarra aire.
Get some air. It's the 11th round.
Sóbalo, sóbalo, güey, las piernas. Póngalo.
Massage his legs.
Hay que ganarlos, güey, ¿eh? ¿Cómo los vamos a ganar? Como los has ganado los demás.
We gotta win these last rounds that you won the early ones.
Mueve la cinturita, güey.
You gotta move your waist. Hands up, block, and I need you awake.
Despierto, despierto.
Awake, alert.
No te me agaches mucho acá, güey.
I don't need you to bend your back forward. Don't wait. Don't bend over front forward. You gotta side to side with your waist, the combination, and get out.
Un paso atrás, anda, agarra aire. Está cansado, patrón. Ese güey ya se cansó.
He's tired already.
Cerradito aquí, enconchado, cabrón.
Tight guard, you understand?
Lo haces para atrás, le tiras tus combinaciones de 2.
Throw your combinations, 2 and 3 punches, you understand?
Round 11, as that was going on in Munguia's corner, Surace's corner is begging him to throw more than one punch. I think the problem is he's finding it difficult to find an opening in this new frame defense of Jaime Munguia, not really finding an opportunity there. He tries the double jab, but the right hand sails over top.
You called it, because that's exactly what Reynoso, every round they've been employing tight guard. Before any of the instructions start, it's tight guard, and then he comes in with the punches. That's been the difference in this Munguia.
Yeah, tight guard and body. 50% of the landed punches by Jaime Munguia have been body shots. So he has been very effective with the overall body shots.
Tight guard and upper body movement, waist movement, is a little bit more fluid with his upper body, not as stiff, not catching every shot with his gloves.
Nice right hand there from Munguia.
These are eye-catching shots, too.
Sergio, earlier in the fight, we talked about Surace's difficulty sometimes moving to his left, and Munguia throwing that sweeping right hand caught him in the midst of one of those moments when the feet were crossing.
Yeah, and it actually adds to the right hook that Munguia's throwing. Whenever you're turning your waist and your foot to that punch, it's actually you're doing your opponent a favor.
Surace trying his own body shot. We haven't seen much of that from him in this fight, but Munguia comes back with a better one. Finding a little slot behind the right elbow of Surace there.
You know, when you're throwing body shots to the right side of Bruno Surace, you're making him that much more hesitant to throw that right hand. He lets that right hand go. He exposes the one part of his body he's not looking to get hit in.
Inside the final minute of round 11 here. Surace trying to be a little bit more assertive in this round.
Assertive and creative. He keeps trying that left hook that we talked about a few rounds ago. He hasn't given up on that punch.
Good body shots there for Munguia.
And that's the reason Reynoso didn't want Munguia to just bend down, because Surace is looking for that uppercut. Side to side, stay fluid, move your waist.
Final 10 seconds here in round 11 as Munguia rips another left hand to the body of Bruno Surace. 1 round to go here in the rematch. As these two run it back here in the rematch, a reminder that you can do the same thing with the new feature on the DAZN app using the Fight Card tab. You can click on that, you can go back and relive any round or any moment of tonight's event.
Hiciste ahorita a ganar la pinche pelea, bloquear, hacer tu defensa, dominarlo con tu defensa y contragolpearlo al güey.
We're gonna finish this round defensively and counter punching. You understand?
Vayas a entrar aquí a fintar o mover la cintura y voy a agarrar.
You gotta move your waist and you gotta feint now. This is the last round.
Cierra lo mejor que los otros 11, ¿ok?
You gotta close this round.
Bien despierto, cabrón.
Close this round harder than you did the last round. Wake up, let's go, last round.
It's funny, Sergio, round after round, Eddie Reynoso has been giving the same instructions, but it felt like to me like trying to dissuade Jaime Munguia from his baser instincts, from going back to being the fighter that we've seen throughout his professional career. Even now in the 12th round, which in my opinion, a fight he's comfortably ahead, they're talking defense first in that corner.
Yeah, I was about to say, we've seen final round heroics from Munguia in the past. He doesn't need them here tonight, but they're probably trying to suppress those urges to do something fantastic here.
Yeah, that final round he had against Sergey Derevyanchenko, the fight of the year, that was brilliant. He pulled that fight out, a huge knockdown in the 12th. I don't believe he needs one in this fight.
Munguia doesn't need to learn toughness or how to fight or how to throw punches. He needs to learn how to stay disciplined, follow a game plan to the end, move his upper body, and keep his defense tight. That's the reason, round by round, they keep reminding him.
The referee warning Jaime Munguia for the body shot. I repeat, the trunks of Bruno Surace are as high as they could possibly get above the belly button there.
Forget the belly button, they're closer to his nipples.
Please don't say nipples.
Ooh, counter right hand over the top there from Munguia. His right hand got there first. Surace thinking about it as well. And Munguia backs him up once more. Double left hook there from Munguia. Even in that moment there, in previous rounds, Munguia probably would have opened up a little bit more. He's listening to Eddie Reynoso there. Just 2 shots, stepped out, got out of danger as he comes back with a nice right hand again.
It appears that Eddie Reynoso is one of the few trainers that can teach an old dog new tricks, because Munguia, this is what I needed to see from Munguia. I thought he was just a stubborn fighter, a former champion that can't change his ways. This is a big difference that I'm seeing.
In normal terms, Sergio, he's not really an old dog at 28 years of age, but he's like a Great Dane. He's aged quickly.
Well, with 46 fights, maybe in dog years he's old.
I think the question now is the clock ticks down this fight. Is Jaime Munguia now back on that level that he was after the Eric Kazinian fight? And the level I'm talking about is ready for an Edgar Berlanga, ready for a Caleb Plant. He is an incredibly marketable fighter with a big fan base who could do crowds in Vegas and Southern California. Have we seen him, Sergio, return to that level?
With this performance, 100%. Absolutely, Munguia is ready for any of those names.
And that will do it as Jaime Munguia vanquished the demons that have haunted him for 6 months. According to Chris Mannix's scorecard, we believe that is the case, but on the other side of this fight, again, you go back to what people were thinking and saying about Bruno Surace before the knockout victory. He might not have won this fight, Sergio, but I think he earned some respect.
He got my respect, and I think I did my job praising what he was trying to do. He won some rounds. I gave him 4 rounds out of the 12. He was competitive. Munguia had to respect his counter shots. Anytime he got hit with anything big, he came right back. He showed guts. This was an excellent performance that maybe he didn't win, but he's gonna learn from on the championship level, because this is a former champion that he's facing, a big former champion. Surace handled him well.
Jesse Bam Rodriguez returns to action on July 19th when the WBC World Super Flyweight champ looks to unify the division as he takes on the undefeated WBO belt holder Fulamela Cafu in Frisco, Texas, live here on DAZN. Let's take a look at the CompuBox punch stats. You see Jaime Munguia out-throwing and outlanding Bruno Surace in this one, and you see the power shots to the body. Again, you kept pointing that out throughout the night. 45-9 for Jaime Munguia. And to the judges, a lot of those sequences with Surace on the ropes, just absorbing shots, those stick in their minds.
Yeah, look, those 45 punches that he was landing, they weren't all clean shots to the belly or the liver. They were being cut by the forearm and the elbows, but that wasn't enough. They're still doing damage. That's the beauty of body shots. They don't have to land cleanly to have damage, and thankfully these judges recognize that.
All right, we are ready to make this one official. So let's send it back up to our MC, Mr. Thomas Schreiber.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judge Kieran McCann scores it 116-112. And both judges, Ron McNair and Howard Foster, are in agreement. They both score it the same, 117-111, all in favor of your winner by unanimous decision. Jaime Munguia!
So Jaime Munguia gets his revenge. A unanimous decision victory over Bruno Surace. A new look Jaime Munguia remains composed and patient, and he gets his win back after fighting those demons since December. It's got to feel good for Jaime Munguia tonight.